YouTube, what's going on, baby? It's your boy Chef Zay, and welcome back to the channel. It is the first episode of the CrocPot podcast 2023 edition, and I'm excited, man. I really am excited. What can I say? I procrastinated. I didn't do it last year. I didn't do it the year before that. Didn't do it. Doesn't matter anymore. We here. We back. New season. New vibes. New hype. New coaches. New players. I'm ready for this season. You have no idea how ready I am for this season. So, I mean, I'm not even going to talk your ear off. Let's just get into it today. But before we get into the podcast, make sure you guys like and subscribe. You know what? Don't like yet. Subscribe, because we is going to be pumping out this content. But go ahead and like the video halfway through, 3/4 through. Whenever you decide that you actually like the video, that's when I want you to press like on the video. So without further ado, let's get into something hot. And the hot topic of the day is, man, Angel Reese. The women's college championship was yesterday, and this is without a doubt the biggest thing that I've seen on my timeline. LSU putting a beating on Iowa, and you got the taunting going on. Angel Reese, it didn't just straight in her face. You can't see. You hit it with the "you can't see me." You know what I'm saying? Like, this is all that I've been seeing. Class is it classless? Was it the right thing to do? Oh, everybody was cool when Clark did it. Man, like, look, man. When I just saw that, I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's all in fun nature. Like, there ain't nothing wrong with that, right? Like, I mean, this is just it. We saw you trash talking. This was your move. We got the ring now. Now I'm going to go ahead and talk my talk. So I'm going to give you a little taste of your own medicine, right? But then I saw more video, right? I saw where she pretty much was just she was egging it on. And I saw her quote where she was talking about, like, this is who I am. I'm too ghetto. I'm too this and that. And it's like, look, I get it, man. You won the championship. You deserve to be hyped. You deserve to talk your trash, to talk your stuff. But there's a fine line between talking trash and going a little bit overboard. And this is a little overboard. I'm not going to lie to you. Look at this. This is a little overboard. Gritty and you cool, but you're all up in her face, just not even gonna shake hands with her. It's like, I hate to be the one to say it, it's like, but if the shoe fits, wear it. I'm all for it. Like, talk your trash, talk your talk. But like, there's a fine line in the sand where you gotta just be a little bit more classier. Not even like classier, but like, you talk about how people talking about your image and how you act a certain way. It's like, well, you're giving them all the ammunition to continue to feed that stereotype. And it's like, you could have did that. The first one was cool. but then after that, it's like, why don't you shake hands afterwards? Why don't you be a champion? Show good sportsmanship. They were lining up after a defeat to come up and shake your hand, and y'all just ain't got it in y'all. Y'all ego a little bit too big because they disrespected y'all. Like, I don't know, man. I'm just really not. Look at this. I don't know. I don't agree with it. I mean, hey, look. Clark dished out the medicine. She got a little bit of her own. All right? I mean, but if you ask me if it's classy or not classy, I don't really like to distinguish it, whether it's classy or not. I just think there could be a little bit better sportsmanship after the fact. Talk your trash, boo-boo. By all means, do you. You know what I mean? Go ahead, do your little ring thing. Say what you got to say. But don't be a professional. You're not a professional yet, but don't be the stereotype that everybody already assumes that you are. Y'all could have shook their hand. Y'all could have walked up to them and shook their hand. Like, come on, man. That's the one. That's the one thing I didn't like. But enough of the college women's basketball. Let's transition on into the meat and bones of this podcast, which is the questions by you guys. Every podcast will be pretty much at the hands of you guys. I'll ask you guys questions, and or I don't even have to ask you guys questions. Make sure you guys are following the Twitter, the Instagram, the TikTok, YouTube, subscribed, and drop your questions in those comment sections because I will be going on each platform and picking one to be a topic for the day. So coming into for today, kicking off our first question, we're only gonna do three. We're gonna do three topics today. We won't do four because I wanted to get this episode out. Our first question of the day is by my man Jackson, and there was a video servicing this past weekend with Tyreek Hill, and a fan went up to him and asked him what he would what it would take for him to come to Cleveland or something along those lines of come play for Cleveland, and he pretty much said that um, he tried to come to Cleveland, but they didn't want him. And I'm not gonna lie, when I saw the video and I read it, it hurt. My stomach kind of dropped because could you imagine Deshaun Watson and Tyreek Hill on the same team? But this question says, if you were Andrew Berry, would you have traded and cut players for more money to get Tyreek Hill? If yes, what players? Well, in all fairness, as much as I want Tyreek Hill, as much as I would love to have the cheetah on our team, um, we know what Andrew Berry's system is. We know what he likes. We know the type of camp that he runs, and we know that he's analytic based. And it wouldn't make sense to trade buku assets and drop another 140 million or however much money that he got on a receiver. Um, a lot of people would say, well, you probably could keep Jacoby and or maybe you still have Baker. Or I don't even know. I don't know what angle you would necessarily go with that. Is if you got Tyreek Hill, but Tyreek Hill isn't going to go out there and single handedly carry you to victory. He has to be put. Look, I'm stuttering over my words. I'm not necessarily stuttering. I'm pausing in what I want to say because Tyreek Hill is a bona fide game changer. You have to game plan for him. He can wreck a game at any moment. But what I'm saying is, he's not going to be the primary reason you win a championship. And Kansas City showed you that. Everyone thought that Kansas City was going to go down the gutters as soon as Tyreek Hill was left. Oh, now what is Mahomes going to do? He's going to be average, and you can only do so much with Kelsey. Well, they just won a championship. And why did they win a championship? Why did they win the Super Bowl? Coaching, quarterback play. So, as much as I would have liked it, the key behind this is like Deshaun Watson is supposed to be the type of player that makes other players around him better. So if you are expecting Deshaun Watson to be the $230 million man, which a lot of people aren't, a lot of people hate on the Browns for going to get that man and paying him that money. But at the end of the day, there's a reason why he got that money. So if he is going to go back into the player that we saw in 2020, you won't need a guy like Tyreek Hill because DPJ would have taken a step. David Bell would have taken a step. Um, Elijah Moore will provide tremendous value. Amari Cooper is going to continue to be Amari Cooper. So on and so forth. It's kind of like the LeBron effect. When you are a great player, you will make players around you better. So as long as my QB is on the level that can carry me to a championship, that is expected to be great, a top 5, top 10 talent in the league, I'll take my chances with what Andrew Berry decides as far as receivers and the talent that he puts around Deshaun Watson. Because me as a fan, but if I'm a coach, I am expecting Deshaun Watson to elevate everyone's play. So to answer your question, Jackson, no, I wouldn't have gone overboard to get Tyreek Hill as much as I would have loved Tyreek Hill on this Cleveland Brown team. So let's go into our next question. We are going to go. this question kind of transitions into the last question. It's by NDGSUSJB25226. And he says, in your opinion, is it Super Bowl or bust for Watson, or are you happy with a couple playoff wins? Well, it's kind of a this question is kind of tricky, right? Because I think everyone's initial answer is Super Bowl or bust, but I think it's a little bit more complicated than Super Bowl or bust. I think to the second part, are you happy with the couple playoff wins? No. That's where it's like, is it Super Bowl or bust? It's it's more Super Bowl to bust than it being not Super Bowl to bust. But I wouldn't necessarily say if we didn't get a Super Bowl out of Deshaun Watson, it's a failure. I would say if you don't get to the Super Bowl with Deshaun Watson, it's a bust because if you're paying someone $230 million with the talent that we have, the cornerstone pieces, Myles Garrett, Nick Chubb, David Njoku, Mari Cooper, Denzel Ward, you got a young core in Greg Newsome, Grant Delpit, JOK. I mean, you have talent, Martin Emerson, across the board, right? I've been saying it since we got Odell. We had about a 5 year window, and since we got Deshaun Watson, it's now more of like a 4 year window from from this time period because we have him for 4 years. So let's just say 3 to 4 window, a 3 to 4 year span where we have this window of opportunity. And I think that if we can't find a way to at least get to the dance within this window, it is going to be extremely hard as a fan. I'm not going to put myself into the organization shoes, but as a fan, it's going to be extremely hard for me to sit here and be like, man, in 10 years or however long down the line, I can see us in the championship. I can see us in the Super Bowl because I've watched these Browns teams for all my life, and we have never, ever, 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 ever had the collection of talent that we have today. And that's the thing that scares me the most is like if we can't figure it out with this group of talent, I don't see how we will ever get to the dance because this is the this talent isn't just good Cleveland talent. And what I mean by that is like, oh yeah, it's Cleveland. Well, it should be good. No, like you have actual talent on this team that is known worldwide through the league. People throughout the league want to come play with Deshaun Watson. Superstars want to come play with Deshaun Watson. Tyreek Hill said, I want to play. Like, he basically was saying, I want to play with Deshaun Watson. So, for once in our lifetime, we're sitting here as fans looking at this roster and it's like, man, we actually could be a Super Bowl contenders. So, I don't want fans to be like, man, when we get there, we lose. It's like, oh, it's a bust. Deshaun Watson, we should have never did it. It's like, and I know what Bengals fans are gonna say. Oh, aren't you the same person that says, well, you gotta win the champion? Man, that's TikTok. Okay, when we talk in sports and we sitting here and we can have an actual conversation about it, I tip my hats off to Bengals fans. They have the right to sit here and say the things that they have to say to an extent. Sometimes it's a bit overboard. They sometimes their head gets a little bit too big. But if we were Browns fans, think about how we would act if the Browns made it to the Super Bowl. Even if we lost, if we just made it. So I wouldn't to answer the question, I wouldn't say that it's necessarily Super Bowl or bust, but I would not just be happy if Deshaun Watson won first, second round, couldn't get out of the AFC Championship, never made it to a Super Bowl. That would be a bust, 100,000%, no question in my mind. I'm expecting to at least make it out of the AFC champion. At the very least, Deshaun Watson has to get to the AFC championship for this to at least be out of the conversation or to at least have the conversation, is it a bust or not? But I'm not going to sit here and be like, as a fan who has saw nothing but terrible football for 20 plus years, um, to say, yeah, Deshaun Watson has to go win it or it wasn't worth trading him because I've never seen the type of talent in Deshaun Watson in a Browns uniform. So I need at least an AFC championship out of him. And with that, that's going to transition into the final question of today. which is, wait, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? My man, the one and only, the peasant, my man Jay, and he asks, what are the biggest keys to success this year? Oh man, what are the keys? DJ Khaled has the keys. He has the keys for his operation, and I got the keys for the Browns operation. It's simple. It's really simple, honestly. It starts with Paul Podesta. Yeah. You're like, well, why? Why? It starts with Paul Podesta, not Andrew Berry. Yeah. Because there was mumbles last year. Tony Grossi reported it. And it apparently, Depot just had his hand too far into the cookie jar in the operations of football and making calls and doing too much on the field stuff. Right? He was... Relax. He was a big problem of our destruction last year, okay? We ain't gonna talk about too much Paul T today because I don't want to get upset. No, but seriously though, Paul T. Podesta, he needs to keep his hand out of the cookie jar. He was far too involved in the day-to-day operations. I mean, granted, we don't know. It was all speculation. But usually where there's smoke, there's fire with this team. And it starts with him, and then it trickles down to Kevin Stefanski. And that was pretty much... He was one of our biggest downfalls last year. And, watching the games every single week, we would sit and we would get frustrated with Kevin Stefanski. And I understand why we were frustrated because I was one of the big guys. Like, I was finally on the fire Stefanski train. But then once I found out about the Paul D. Podesta information and how much he was involved in play calling and picking and game planning and all this stuff, it made me get off the fire Kevin Stefanski train and just put him on the hot seat. Kevin Stefanski, a lot of things that Cleveland fans don't understand with Kevin Stefanski, they think he's not a good play caller, and it blows my mind that they think that because if anything, that's the best thing that he can do. It's call plays. Now we may sit here and say and complain that Nick Chubb doesn't have the ball a lot. But if you put yourselves in Kevin Stefanski's shoes and Paul T. Podesta's shoes and the organization's shoes, and you look at the situation that you were in last year, they knew what they were doing. They wasted a year. Now, did they purposely try to waste the year? Did they try to just... They faked it until they made it, in the words of J. Cole. Let's just put it like that, because everyone that watched this team saw the same questions, saw the same problems. What the heck is Kevin Stefanski doing? Why don't you know how to utilize Nick Chubb? Why are you taking Deshaun Watson out on 4th and 1s and throwing 40-yard bombs with Jacoby Brissett? Why is Jacoby Brissett getting prime throwing opportunities over Deshaun Watson? And, at the time, you don't really try to look outside the box and try to think about why. They weren't trying to tip their hand. They were just trying to see what could work, how it could work, what plays are certain people comfortable with that they probably usually wouldn't run. Could they add it into the playbook? It was an experiment. And when you're a fan, you don't want to see an experiment, especially if you're a Browns fan, because it seems like since 99, every year has been an experiment with this team. And that's the approach that I feel like Kevin Stefanski was looking at it, because I think in the back of his mind, he knew that he was going to get at least one more year, one more crack at this. He turned Baker Mayfield. He got the best out of Baker Mayfield. In 2020, we were saying Baker Mayfield was a top 10 quarterback, which Baker Mayfield was probably number 10, 11, at furthest the 12th best quarterback in the league in 2020. He had Jacoby Brissett in this offense, top 10, bro, and every important offensive category. Jacoby Brissett statistically was top 10. the first 7 to 10 weeks or however long it was. You aren't a bad coach if you can find a way to get the most out of players like Baker Mayfield and Jacoby Brissett. Now, when it comes to the receivers and as far as Nick Chubb and giving him the ball and all of that stuff, that's a different discussion for a different day. But I am ecstatic to see what Kevin Stefanski can do with Deshaun Watson, knowing what he's already done with Baker Mayfield and Jacoby Brissett. Here's the key. Here's the thing that I'm really looking forward to, though. What type of leash does Kevin Stefanski give Deshaun Watson, which plays into my third key to the success of this year, which comes down to Deshaun Watson? You will go as far as Deshaun Watson will take you. You will go but you will only go as far as Kevin Stefanski will let you go. So Deshaun Watson will take you there, but Kevin Stefanski has to let Deshaun Watson take you there. And what I mean by that is, I don't want no restrictions on Deshaun Watson. I don't want Deshaun Watson to not be able to come out of the huddle and kill a play and audible and switch things and do whatever he needs to do, when he comes to the line and sees that he can make an adjustment need be. Because we know Jacoby Brissett didn't have that option, and we know Baker Mayfield really didn't have that option. And if Baker Mayfield did have that option, that's probably one of the main reasons why he's out as our quarterback, because he couldn't do what Deshaun Watson can do as far as making adjustments out of the huddle. So the keys really all correlate with each other, because Paul T. Podesta has to just be a front office guy instead of a coach. Kevin Stefanski has to actually be a coach, and Watson has to be the $230 million man that we paid him to be. So when you talk about what are the keys to success this year, it goes in that order. Paul T., Kevin, Watson. Is Paul T. Podesta going to give you the freedom to let Kevin Stefanski run the coaching staff like he wants to? Is Kevin Stefanski going to open up the playbook, utilize every single weapon that he has, getting the absolute most out of Nick Chubb while also letting Deshaun Watson be elite as he can be? And will Deshaun Watson turn back into 2020? I mean, if anyone, the haters are going to sit here and say Deshaun Watson was terrible last year, but people that, can put the off-the-field stuff to the side and look strictly football, if you watched some of the throws that Deshaun Watson made last year, the man still got it. Like, he really still has it. So, I am expecting Deshaun Watson to look exactly like how he was in 2020. Matter of fact, better than he was in 2020, because number one, he's healthy. Number two, I mean, you've had more time to study this playbook and work on your mechanics and your craft than you've ever had. It shouldn't be an issue coming into the next season when you got a whole offseason prepare this year, a whole offseason with Stefanski, a whole offseason with the receivers and the offense, and I just can't wait. Is it September yet? Is it September yet? But that's pretty much all I gotta say on what the keys for success are this year. We'll get into other questions later in a different podcast. So make sure you guys like and subscribe this video if you like the video, and if you want your question asked on future podcasts, you gotta comment it in YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and we are picking one question per episode, 4 questions, and we'll go down the list. And hey, maybe your question could be on the next episode. So get to commenting, baby. So I'll catch y'all on the next one, baby. Peace. Wait. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go.